Well, good morning, everybody. Just dropped Egypt off at school. See that in the background. And Mom and I have a pretty long day planned for today. But it starts with getting our steer or bull, steer bull, WB. So believe it or not, it's crazy, but it's already been a month that they've had him, and now he's ready for pickup. So we're going to do that today. And Mom and I just wanted to do a one-off video on this process because there's a lot of people that are doing it for the first time or maybe looking into doing it, and they want to know, how much meat will I get, what are the costs, and all of that good stuff. So we're going to break that down for you today in the video. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy, hopefully you like. My thought process on this, here, let me move over here so it's a little easier. All right, so my thought process on this, y'all, I was talking to a friend about this, and when my dad was in town, we also spoke about this. And what's crazy is there's a lot of people that we know personally, and maybe even some of you watching this video right now, that that may think that what we do is cool, or think that what we do is interesting, or think that what we do is an outlier, or think that what we do is a fad. But the reality is, 2 generations ago, and for some of you sooner, this was everyday life. You know, if I could wake up my great-grandmother or older, generation older, and they woke up and saw what we were doing, it would just be another day of the week for them. In fact, they would probably come and say, hey, you should try this, or you should try that, or why aren't you doing this with your chickens, or hey, you could get better yields with your pigs doing this. Or they would probably just start doling out advice. They wouldn't wake up and be like, oh my God, you have a homestead and you're growing your own food and your own meat and all. They wouldn't be amazed, you know? I personally think that it's kind of sad. I don't know if sad's the right word. Interesting that today it's considered a fad or an outlier, or like you're doing something so radical. The way the economy is going, the way the world is going, the way food is being processed, the way food is being made and created, I think we should get back to the old ways. So you know where your food is coming from. Grow your own vegetables, grow your own fruits, produce your own wheat, grow your own meat. It should become the norm again. And that's one of the things that we're hoping to accomplish with our channel. You know, we know that in this community, Natalie and I are more so on the younger side of things. And it's just that, you know, hopefully if there's someone young out there, we can inspire them to make the jump, take the leap, because this isn't abnormal. It should be the normal, to, you know, create a self-sufficient life for yourself and your family and your neighbors, your community. We should be feeding each other, not buying processed meat and fruits and vegetables grown from seeds that only work for 1 year, and the seeds that come out of them won't grow if you try to plant them, you know? So yeah, rant over. That's why we're making this video. If you're here to learn about how much meat you'll get from a full steer, or a quarter of a steer, like, we'll try our best to break that all down so you have an idea of what that looks like. And then of course we'll share the 2023 cost to butcher in Central Florida. All right. The butcher is about an hour away, so let me get this drive going.
We find ourselves starting from scratch, brick by brick.
Y'all, I've been here about 30 minutes and Mama's just pulling up.
Path carved
Ain't that
out
something?
for us now. The brush is thick.
30 minutes. Backing in right now so we could get our meat. They're gonna bring it out. So, gonna load it up, y'all, and then we're gonna hit the road home, and we'll get the rest going. All right, y'all. So it's all on the table. And this is, if I remember correctly, 645 pounds, Mama?
Yeah.
645 pounds of beef. And whoo, it is a lot, y'all. It is a lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down what we have. I'm standing up on a chair, y'all. Don't judge me. I don't have shoes on. But as we're talking about all of this, we are going to, on the screen, put prices or weights. And one thing that Mom and I thought that we would do at the end of this video that we're going to try to do is figure out how much all of this would cost if you went to Walmart and bought it. Of course, we know that raising your own food is unmatched. You know exactly what they ate. So you know from essentially the start of their life through freezer camp, as it's known in our community. You have a pretty healthy animal that you could feed to your family with integrity and knowing how it was raised. So that's something that we can't factor into buying it out of the grocery store. So yeah. Mom, what do we have here on the table?
So on this side, we have 2-pound packages of ground beef because I never use just one. So we thought about just going ahead and get the 2-pound so it makes it easier versus having to defrost too, and also saves labor for them. We haven't counted them yet, but we're gonna put we could just add how many we got to it, I guess, on the screen, huh? But super excited for this.
It's a lot of ground beef.
It's a lot of ground beef. So we can do like hamburgers, chili, like when we make dirty rice, like all these different dishes that we're gonna make, meatball stew, just meatballs, but we do use a lot of ground beef. And the one that we got was the 80-20, so 80-20 lean. Yep. All right, so for the stew meat, we have 9 packs. It's so funny. And then when we get to soup bones, 6. And in each pack, it was about 3. For a brisket, we had 4, which I think Uncle Jay is gonna have fun with that. And then Nico really wanted some Korean style ribs, so we got 3 packs of those. And then for rib steaks, 12 packs. For chuck roast. And we still have 2 in the freezer, babe. We gotta cook some roast. That's funny. And then sirloin steaks, we have 6 packs of those, and it's 2 per pack. And then for porterhouse, we have 8 packs, 2 in a pack for those, so that's 16. Ribs, we got 3 packs of ribs, and when we counted, it looked like there was about 6 on average in each pack. 2 packs of flank steaks, the tongue, 1 tongue of course, and then oxtails, we got a pack of those. And then skirt steaks, we got 2 packs of that. Yeah, you excited? And then we got 7 packs of T-bone steaks. And those have 2 per pack, so about 14. And then we had 6 packs of sirloin tips. That's a lot.
That's a lot, y'all. The table over here in the middle is like kind of has a bow in it. Don't judge me once again. So yeah, this is what 645 pounds of beef looks like.
Yeah, and he shared, based on what WB's hanging weight was, that he was most likely around like 1,000, 1,050 is what his guess was around his weight based on once you take everything else out.
Yeah. So here it is, y'all. Yeah. Now, y'all know us, we OCD. So when we put this in the freezer, it's got to be nice and organized. But Mama, can you hand me the paper?
Yeah, and we'll show how much freezer space it takes up.
Yeah. All right, so this is where we went. We went to Osteen's once again. They are USDA certified. There's their contact information if you happen to live in the Central Florida area. You can see the pricing, and this is, and I'm gonna put this on the screen as well, but this is typically what, you know, your sheet's gonna look like, your order sheet. So they have their different prices, they have their different cuts, you know, you make your selections, how you want it, the thickness, all of that, it's all on here. The organs, as you saw, we do the oxtail and tongue. His weight, 645. And here are their fees. Now, these are likely 2023 fees. All right, so from a pricing standpoint, they have very competitive pricing, and looking at reviews, it appears as if their prices have barely gone up over the years, which is repeated in the reviews, which is why they are highly recommended. So if you're in Central Florida, once again, Osteen's is a great place to go.
Super friendly people.
Yep. Great staff and super friendly. All right, y'all. So as you can see, Mama's getting it in. She's putting the food in the freezer, getting it nice and organized. Hopefully a little OCD's kicking in. We'll see. But 645 pounds. That's a lot of food, Mama. So yeah, let's go over some of the like pros and cons of this. So what are your thoughts on raising your, in this case, meat this way?
Well, as some of you may know, but maybe you don't know, I don't eat beef or pork, but only because I'm really weird about wanting to know where it comes from. And I haven't known where it came from before, so maybe I'll try some this time. We'll see. I don't know. No promises there. But I think one of the pros for me is knowing that, like knowing exactly where it came from. We know that it was raised on our pasture. We know what we fed it. We know there were no hormones or anything else that we have to wonder the what ifs about, because we put on all the work, like to raise it. Another pro is based on how much I would be buying from the grocery store. 1 cow per year is enough to feed our family for the year. If we stick to that, like if we expand and have more people, then maybe not. But based on all my orders from Walmart and our receipts from Winn-Dixie, that's enough meat. Nico and Egypt do like steak, so we may have to still buy some more steaks. But yeah, overall, that's more than enough for us for a year for ground beef.
I would say another pro is whenever you have animals on your land, they're taking care of the land, they're maintaining your land. So it's free manure, It's free lawnmower, right? Especially if done right, you can really improve your pasture land at the same time as feeding your family. So I would say that's another pro. I would say another pro is the variety of meat, and the versatility to raise the meat the way you want. So similar to dogs or cats or any animals, there's many different breeds of beef cattle. You know, I'm sure everyone's heard of Kobe beef, right? Which is like the pinnacle. But there's all, I mean, we have Angus, I mean, beef mass, it just, the list goes on. So you kind of have options on what kind of beef you want to raise, what kind of turnaround time you're looking for. And then when it comes to the meat itself, you get to decide, like mom's first point, the fat content, the marbling, right?
Yeah.
You dictate how long it takes. You dictate if it's all grass fed. You dictate if it's all grain fed. You dictate if it's a combination, how much. For Whataburger, aka WB, I would say that is probably like he was probably like 70% grass, 30% grain.
Yeah.
So that's just how we decided to do it.
Yeah, because he would get grain. So during the colder months, when the grass goes dormant, that's when we would give him grain. But back when the grass was flourishing, then we would shift back, and he would just be full Bahia. That's how you say it, Bahia?
Bahia.
Bahia.
Bahia grass is
Bahia.
what we have here, which just explodes in spring all the way through early fall. So that really helps us with cost as well.
Yeah.
Thinking about some cons. So I'm gonna start with one that's kind of like a pro, but can kind of teeter in the con, and that is in your first year, your freezer is going to be empty regarding, you know, your own raised meat. You're going to probably still be buying from the supermarket and all of that because it's your first year. Your beef is still out in the field, right? But that's the con. The pro is once you have your first one in the freezer, from there you kind of know how long it takes, when you should start your next steer, or heifer or bull, whatever your preference is. Most people raise steers, but you can also do heifers. You know how long it takes, so you know, okay, by this time I need to go ahead and get another steer so that we can ensure that by the time this beef runs out, the next one's in the freezer. So that's kind of like a pro/con. What do you got for con?
Another con I would say is like the attachment. So for us, we picked a name that we knew would remind us all the time, like what the purpose was
Food.
for Whataburger, versus like Pinkie Pie or Coco. Like it's different, but that's the hard part for me is like you get attached, and even on his sassy days, like he'll still be missed. But knowing like it's to feed our families. To feed our family gives me a little bit more like comfort in that. But I am an animal lover, so like I get attached. But I would rather know where the food's coming from versus not knowing. Yeah, which that's my own personal preference. Some people prefer not to know, and that's okay. Yeah.
And then I would say another con is if you don't have land. A lot of you might live in the city. A lot of you may live in a suburb. So obviously that's a con. But of course, there's a solution for that. So you can go to a local farmer, go to a local market, and a lot of times people are either selling their beef already cut, which is still a healthier meat than going to the supermarket because you can speak to that farmer. You can learn how they raise their beef. You might even be able to see it if you're going to their property versus going once again to the supermarket. Or you could just get a steer yourself from their farm. So there's plenty of farmers out there that'll let you buy a steer. They raise it on their property, they feed it, they do all of that, and they butcher it, and you come pick up the cuts.
Yeah.
And of course, all of that's worked into the price of that, but you don't have the land. They do. They raise it for you. So,
I would say, you said it already. The price, it'll be a little bit more expensive. Like we have some friends who will split like a whole cow between 3 families, and that's what works for them because they don't have land. But they get the peace of mind of knowing where it comes from.
Yep. So, great point, Mom. If you don't need a whole cow, then you could get half. Farmers will let you buy half, or a quarter, or a third, whatever. You don't have to get the whole cow. So our cuts, you can see on the screen right now. I'm gonna add it on the screen. Keep in mind that as I showed earlier in the video with the cut list, you get to choose. So obviously for us, 204 pounds of ground beef, we know that that's what we wanted. So we took some of our roast cuts and some other cuts and said, just ground it up. But maybe you don't eat as much ground beef, so you decide you want more of this cut or that cut. It's your choice. But yeah, you could go, half, a third, a quarter with co-workers, with family, with friends, and that lowers the cost, obviously.
Yeah, because when I was just reading through things, some people prefer hey, let's all go in and buy a full one, a whole cow, and then split it up amongst yourselves. Because when you go there to buy like a third or fourth, you don't get as many different cuts because sometimes it's a little limit based on packages. So that was one of the cons whenever you do go and say, hey, I want half a cow, I want a third. Not all the cuts may be available. It could be select on what they have, and then you get to pick from that. But
all right, so let's talk about cost. All right, and compare. So, Mom, go ahead.
So for Whataburger, we got him for $3.50, and when we sent him to get processed, that was $8.10 in total, and then dividing that by the 645 pounds of meat that we got, it came out to like $1.80 a pound.
$1.80 a pound, y'all. You can't beat that. Now, once again, we did talk about 30% of the time he was on grain, but that was also being split between three or four other cattle. So it's hard to come up with a price on like how much he was eating or not. But I know the bags are like somewhere between $18 and $20 a bag or something like that.
Yeah.
And we had him for about somewhere between 18 to 20 months. So, I mean, you could figure that in, but it was kind of hard for us to do the math on that. But a majority of the time he was on grass. Now, we spent $350 plus $810. I don't know the total on that. I'm not a math person. So we spent $350 on WB plus $810, which comes out to
$1,160.
$1,160. So if we were to take all of the cuts, well, let me set this up.
Yeah.
Most people in America live by a Walmart. So for example's sake, we're just going to use Walmart because a majority of people live by a Walmart, or you could DoorDash it, whatever. But it is worth pointing out that there's specialty markets and the such that you could potentially go to that would help you, that you may be able to get a little cheaper, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, in some of those places, because you're getting fresh beef, it actually may be more expensive, actually.
It is more. Like
Yeah,
the lady,
yeah.
a neighbor that sells hers.
So Walmart actually probably would be the cheapest, and that's why we're using Walmart. So no matter where you are in America, you have a good comparison. So we paid $1,160 for all of this. If we were to take all of the cuts we got and add it to a Walmart cart, and even with Walmart doing it that way, the cuts were not the weights that we got. All of our cuts are at least 1 inch, more, some are more. The weights of all of our cuts weren't really reflected in what we could get at Walmart.
Yeah.
So
Except for the ground beef.
except for ground beef, because we know we had 204 pounds of ground beef, so we just did 204 pounds of ground beef in the Walmart cart.
Yeah, that was 80-20.
Yeah, but right now on the screen you can see the cost of if we were to just buy all of these cuts from Walmart. So that's something to consider. It's significantly way more money, and you don't know where that meat came from. You don't know how that meat was raised. You don't know any of those things at all, not even a little bit. So
but we also, I will add, we've bought our meat for all these years.
Absolutely.
From the grocery store.
100%. You do what you got to do.
Yeah. But it's one of those things where, like, for me personally, it just gives me a peace of mind knowing where it came from. Because every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, who don't even know where this came from? Like, that's my joke, but I'm not joking. I'm being serious because we have no idea. And like for me, what put it into perspective as someone who does most of the grocery shopping, typically when I go to Walmart, like ground beef is $5.22 a pound right now for 80/20, the same one that we got. And just the math on that alone was $1,100.
Yeah,
so almost, well,
the ground beef by
1,064.
itself.
But just the ground beef by itself was almost the cost of everything together, not including all the other cuts, which we know steak, roast, all those things are going to be more expensive than the ground beef, which was crazy to me.
So one of the points we're trying to make is that right now in America, while a majority of our meat is grown on farms locally, or domestically, I should say, there is beef that we do ship in, though. We ship in from Japan, we ship in from China and other countries, but with a majority of our meat being grown domestically, you still don't know exactly what went into that meat, because as we know, a lot of that meat comes from not from local farmers, right? There are companies out there that are packing that meat in, and you've seen the documentaries, right? And then as we move into the future, we know that our meat is actually being grown in labs. Right now, that's a minority of our meat, but you know, you can find it at Walmart. It's on KFC's menu. It's happening, right? So we know that if you have the means to grow your meat yourself, this is something we would highly recommend, especially as we move into the future. And if you can't, once again, find a farmer and you can buy it.
And I think just to clarify on Nico's part that he just shared, it's not always realistic to it's not always easy to just say, hey, I'm going to go to the market or buy meat from someone else, because it is more expensive. Inflation, other variables, life, trying to make ends meet, things happen. We've been there, definitely have been there. So we get it, and this is something that we've worked really hard to get to. So it's like, if you can do it, it's great. But if not, like it's not a, what's the word I'm looking for? You gotta do what you gotta do to feed your family. That's Absolutely. What I guess I'm trying to say. So we've been there where we never even thought this was possible, and then here we are now. But yeah.
Yeah, and another thing that I would like to add is similar to when we got our pork with WB, we're going to be doing what, Mom? What's everything we're going to be doing?
Makes me happy. We're going to be donating. So what we did, we didn't share all of it. We just talked about the portion of the meat, but we also gave like canned goods and other non-perishables. Mm-hmm. We're also going to do that, where we're going to do like different packages for the families, for the organization that we choose to donate to. Especially going into the holidays, like it's colder, kids are inside more, so that means they're eating more with the holidays and the breaks. So we're going to be putting that together. And this time we're going to have Egypt come with us to donate. So yeah, so super excited that we're able to give back. But yeah.
Yeah, so the place that we like to go to is local to us, and it helps out families. A lot of those are single mothers and families that are just really struggling, and this organization does an amazing thing for the community. So a portion of the meat, a tithe if you will be going to that organization. We're also going to be taking them a lot of clothes.
Yeah, I forgot about the clothes.
And then, as Mom mentioned, we also go pick up canned goods and non-perishables. So for this holiday season, a big portion of this will be going to that organization, and I just can't wait to go. It's grown on me. Mom, if she could, she would probably give 50% of the meat. I'm not there yet, but we are going to be doing a rather large donation. And if and when we do that, we'll make a video, not of the donation itself, but of when we do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be cool to hear Egypt's perspective, because this will be the first time that she comes. She knows that we do it, but it'll be her first time coming with us to donate.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get over to Mom and see how she organized this freezer.
All right, guys. So finished packaging everything. Well, putting everything up. So I had to maneuver some of the pork, moving some of it to the door because I needed another shelf. So, yep. 3 shelves of ground beef, 80/20. And they're all 2-pound rolls, except for this little guy, but fully packed. And then you can see what we have left. We had 2 shelves of this Cajun sausage, y'all. We've been tearing it up. And then I had to remember, I can't touch this shelf. This is Sahara's ice cream shelf when she's out here working with Dad. So she would remember that she left these two here. So we had to make sure to protect that. And then on this side, we have all the beef. So first shelf, we have some the steaks. So we have the rib steak, T-bone, and then the porterhouse are here. And then the next one, we have the sirloin tip. And then I don't remember what I put right here. Stew meat, that's what it is. So these two are stew meat. And then here we have the roast, sirloin steaks, and then the soup bones there. And then down here we have the skirt. Then got some of the brisket right there. I threw the things that I'm not gonna ever want to really eat or look at. I'm just joking. But the cow tongue and the oxtails here, put those there. And then the ribs, I put them in the door here. But then I'm happy we have some space, so when I go to Louisiana, I can get some boudin and add that up here in the shelves and some fresh sausage. But looks good. What you think, Brown? Ah, he didn't know I was gonna turn the camera on him, y'all.
Looks good. You did a great job organizing.
But we protected. No speeches from SJ.
Yeah.
But all right, let's go get some lunch.
Let's go. All right, y'all, we're at Steph's. You see what I got. Fried chicken, pinto beans, collard greens, cornbread, and desserts. A little hot sauce, of course. Peach cobbler, sweet tea. And Mom ordered some shrimp.
Some broccoli cheddar rice.
Broccoli cheddar rice.
Sweet potatoes. And then cornbread.
Cornbread, yeah. And a half and half. And Pharaoh just woke up. Hey. That's funny.